Yo, what's up guys? We're back on Madden 15 and we're going to be doing the defensive part of how to build your team for, Christmas guys or people who got the game late, or maybe even guys who just want some extra tips. We're going to be talking about what attributes I think matter the most for each position, and I'll even recommend some guys for each position. We're going to go through my team first. You can see everybody I got. And then we'll start out with the defensive line. I like to use either the right end or the middle linebacker. Now, I've used tons of right ends, and when I mean a lot, I've experimented and I've used a lot of guys. So, I've even used linebackers in the end positions. Linebackers do very well in the end positions if they, fit in there. Typically, you need a bigger linebacker with more weight, so they don't get just straight pancaked. But I like to run Alden Smith on the left end spot, but I just didn't. I just sold him. Actually, sold him for real cash, but I just sold him, so I'll eventually buy him back and put him back there. But some linebackers do very well in the end position just because they can block shed, get in the backfield, but they can also, it depends on what scheme you run. If you run a lot of zone blitzes, sometimes when you run zone blitz, the end will have to drop back in coverage, and if you have a linebacker there, he can still contain that area pretty well, and he can still block shed and stop the run when he needs to. So, but we'll start with the right end. What I think is most important for the end position, obviously block shed. Strength is pretty important, but this guy's a user for me, so his stats don't matter particularly. It's just how he feels to me. That's always the case for a user. You just want them to feel really good for you to use that over their stats, because obviously it's you using them, and in that situation, obviously his play rec doesn't matter because I'm using him, I'm recognizing the play. So, and that shit's 100. So, this guy, he's decent, good finesse move, good block shed, good tackle. The things that really matter the most for D line is their block shed, their strength, and their tackle. Because when they do get in the backfield, you don't want them to just get shrugged off. Guys like Michael Johnson, say you're not using a lineman, you're using the linebacker or a safety. Say they do block shed and get in the backfield, and it's a counter play. If he gets in the backfield and puts a hit on the running back and it doesn't stop him, then what good is he other than to slow him down? Especially if he's got blocks down the field and that's the only guy who can stop him. And if he gets shrugged off, that's either a 4-yard loss or a 20-yard gain. You want a guy who can tackle. That's important for the D line. You don't want them to just get shrugged off. So, and then for the D line, I feel like they're always going to be pretty big, but I feel like you need to have at least one behemoth like Wilfork, somebody fat and huge that can just plug up the middle, and then a guy who's like fat and huge, obviously because he's a DT, but a little more speed. So this guy, he's got 72 speed. Wilfork, I think 60. Yeah, that's bad. Block shed, same. Power move and play rec and that type of thing. Vince Wilfork is a little bit better. Whoa, I didn't even realize Dan Williams has got some pretty good strength. Let's look at this guy. Let's compare him and Wilfork. Oh shit. Yeah, see, well, tackle's better. I don't know, maybe I'd have to replace the play rec and the pursuit's not as good. But yeah, for this position, you pretty much want really high block shed. if you can find a defensive tackle with really high block shed and really high finesse move, then that might be a good move, because they can spin right into the running back. Or I mean, power move is not. I would always go finesse move over power move, but power move is not bad. I mean, if they got plus 90 in both of those areas, block shed and power move, then get them. But if you can find a guy with over 90 block shed defensive tackle and then high finesse move, or maybe even high power and finesse, when you go up in price, obviously you're going to get better players. But for me, these guys work fine. You don't always have to have an elite in every position, like I'll show you here. We're going to move straight into the corner position, but right before we do that, I mean, the left, like I said before, the left end, try out Aldon Smith. If you're having some problems with pass rush, if guys got all day in the pocket, or maybe they're even rolling out to that side, Aldon Smith, you put QB contain on, Aldon Smith will he'll get some pressure on guys who like to roll out to that side. So try out Aldon Smith if you're having some trouble. He's about 30K right now, so a little bit expensive, but not crazy expensive. You might like him, you might not, but it's worth a try. I think he's a pretty good lineman, but we're going to go into the cornerback position. Night Train Lane, he's a beast. He's a temporary promo card, so I mean, I figured I'd use him just because he's a beast. But other than that, I've got a lot of golds here. You'll see a lot of golds, but that's just because a lot of the gold cards for cornerback position are really good. If you compare him, let's compare Parrish to Akib. You see they're both 86. One is elite, one's not. Look at how he beats him in every category. The only thing he doesn't beat him in is awareness and press. I mean, press is not that important unless you're running man, which I don't run a lot. So, I mean, take a look at it. Usually if you're buying an elite quarterback, you're going to pay a fucking ridiculous price for a cornerback who's got height and speed. With these gold cards, you can get both for cheap, and most of the time they're up there with the elite cards. This Gilmore is about like 4 or 5K, I think, sometimes. Don't quote me on that, but it depends on the market. But I got him for about 3-4K. Look at that, 94 speed, 6 foot tall. That's pretty good. 93 zone coverage, 80 play rec. It's pretty good. 80 play rec for a guy who's 94 speed is pretty damn good. TJ Carey. So when you're going for a cornerback, obviously you want speed. You don't want them to get burnt deep, but you do want some guys who are tall. I mean, the guy who's going to be playing the slot receiver, he doesn't have to be tall, but if he's got some height, it's better. I mean, 5'10", 5'11" is pretty decent for that. But if you can get a guy who's 6 foot or better in every position for cornerback, then you're golden. But speed is gold. Speed is what matters the most. Other than that, your man and zone coverage are pretty important. Your play recognition is very important, because that's going to determine whether they jump a route or not, depending on what the route is. Say it's a curl. If they have high play rec, they're going to recognize the play and react to it better. So if you got a guy who's fast and high play rec, then they're going to recognize more plays and make more plays, because of that. If you look at Parrish Cox, he's got, I mean, another thing you can look for, but you don't have to have, is the catching and the tackle. 60 tackle, that's kind of normal for a cornerback. 78 catching. You can even go as far as putting a safety in the cornerback position, because sometimes safeties will do okay. Let's see. I mean, you don't pay attention to the rating. He's good anyway. Well, let's look at his speed as a safety. Okay. So, I mean, obviously I wouldn't put Vaquero there. He's not very good as this. But if you bought a safety specifically for putting him in the cornerback position, you want to make sure you look at what his stats are. But sometimes when you do that, you'll get a guy who's, you know, pretty fast, pretty tall, and then they'll have stats like this: 71 tackle, 82 block shed, which is really good, 70 spec catch, and 94 hit power. If you got that from the corner position, they can come up, make some plays in the backfield, maybe even blitz and get some hit on the quarterback, fumble the ball more. So, I mean, if you want to try that out, that's an idea, but it's obviously not gonna do amazing in coverage unless you make sure you pick a guy who's good for that. So I wouldn't put Vaquero there because he's not very fast. He's got 89 speed, but you get the gist of it. For my slot, I've got Devin Hester. Now he's mostly a return guy for me, but I figured I'd try him out there. He's got 98 speed. He's pretty much going to keep up with anybody in the game. Man and zone coverage decent, play rec not that great, but you know his speed can make up for his mistakes if he does make a mistake. If a guy's running a slant and he doesn't break right away because he doesn't recognize the route, then he'll eventually, you know, will pretty much right away catch up to him and maybe even pick the ball off, because look at this guy's catching, 90 catching. If you want a really good slot cornerback, go for Hester, because he's only about in between 20 and 30K, and you know he'll play amazing compared to, you know, one of these guys in the slot. He can make a lot of plays. I mean, his tackle's not that great, but he can, you know, he can return kicks for, he's basically two cards in one. He can return kicks for you, punts for you, and then he can also cover slot guys. Most time people who run guys in the slot, they're going to be short, and most of the time some people will run a little bit of height, but most of the time they're going to be kind of short but really fast, really elusive. So, you know, I think this guy is pretty good at covering that. 88 spec catch, 91 catching traffic, 82 route running. This guy can read short passes and make plays on them. So I really like Devin Hester there. If not during the game, if he's getting killed because his coverage is not as good during the game, I can, you know, press pause, take him out, put Gilmore in, or Talib. So for safety, we'll start out with the free safety. Now these guys aren't really going to be doing man coverage unless you blitz a lot of guys, so you don't really have to have an amazing man coverage for a safety. They're mostly going to be dropping back in a zone. So 90 zone, 6'1" height, 92 speed, 95 hit power. He can, you know, make a guy drop the ball. 93 acceleration, 82 tackle. If a running back makes it to that, you know, last chance, you know, secondary, he can make some plays and he won't just get shrugged off. You know, 82 tackle is pretty decent, especially for a safety. That's really good. 75 catching. Basically, for a free safety, what you want to look for is, these are the guys that are going to save your ass when they throw it deep. You want some height. You want some recovery speed. You want play rec, but, you know, for this guy, I don't really have it. I could get somebody better. This is a position I could probably upgrade, but you want some decent play rec, at least 80. You want some decent tackling. You want really good zone, and if you can get it, you want some hit power. If they can come up, hit a guy, make them drop it, then, you know, that'll be ideal. But you want to also look at the catching. 75 catching. So if he, you know, if he cuts in front of a route, 70% of the time he's going to pick the ball off, so that's pretty good. Vaquero, I've had him here for a while. I could replace him, but he just plays so good for me. I don't know what it is about Vaquero. He's not the fastest guy, but the thing I like about him is he's an all-around player. He can, he can drop back in coverage. Sometimes he does get beat, but he's got really good man, really good zone coverage. Sometimes these safeties will, have to play man, and when he does, he's very good at it. He's got 94 hit power, decent speed. He's got really good acceleration, so he gets to his top speed very quickly. 71 tackle. This guy causes a lot of fumbles. I don't know what it is about him. When somebody runs to the outside and he has to come up, and I just lay that boom, or maybe even a soft ass dude catches the ball through the middle and he comes up and makes a huge hit. I've got a few recordings on my upload of him just laying crazy hits on people after they catch. He's a really good hitter from that position. I mean, Buchanan, you could say the same for him, but I don't know why I just have Vaquero starting there over him. It's probably just from the past experience of him being a beast. I could probably try Buchanan out. I got him kind of deep in the depth chart, but like I said, it just depends on what you like the most. When you're running your defense, just go with your gut. If there's a guy that you see make a lot of plays there, just leave him there. Even if his overall isn't higher than another guy's, I'm satisfied with Vaquero. He makes a lot of plays for me. He picks a lot of passes. I don't know what it is. His play rec's not even that high. It's 74. Yeah, see, his play rec is not even that great, but he makes a lot of plays for me. I don't know what it is about him. I will go straight into the linebacking core. These guys, you want them to be sure tacklers. These guys, you want no doubt in your mind that if they hit somebody, most likely 90% of the time they're not going to get away from it. So you want a guy with high tackling and very good zone coverage, decent speed. They got to have decent speed and good pursuit. You want them to have good pursuit on the ball carrier, especially running backs. If their speed's not as high as the running back, which is most likely not going to be the case, then they've got to have good pursuit so they can make that angle to catch that guy. So Lavonte David, I think, is the best coverage linebacker in the game for his price. I mean, I got this guy for $50K. His speed is solid, 98 tackle, 96 play recognition, 80 block shed, 98 pursuit, 89 coverage. Catching's not amazing, but he's a linebacker. Man coverage, very solid. He's got good stamina, so he's going to stay in the game a lot, and decent hit power. So a lot of people neglect their second guy. Don't do that. Make sure you pick a guy who he doesn't have to be amazing, but he's got to be a player that can come in and make some plays when you have to have your starter out. Sometimes if people are running no huddle, or if they're driving down the field, sometimes your starters will get subbed out and you have no control over that. It's just depending on how high your starter's stamina is. So you need to pay attention to that on defense. Look at their stamina. I mean, don't make moves based off of that, but you need to make sure that you have a decent guy in the second slot, that if your starter gets tired, he can come out for a few plays and he can fill the spot. If you look at Hodges, or if this has got to be your starter, if you're on a budget, Hodges is super cheap and he's really good. Look at his tackle. His play rec solid, his block shed solid, pursuit pretty good, 84 zone coverage, amazing for a linebacker. He's an overall really good linebacker. A lot of people could use him as a starter. He's pretty good. What do I have to say about this guy? He's amazing. For a middle linebacker, you want decent speed, obviously high tackle. You want really good hit power. So if somebody does run it up the middle, they can make some plays for you, hit the guy, make them drop the ball. Play rec is very important for the middle linebacker. Kuechly is got 98. It's pretty good. That's like the best you can get, pretty much. 97 pursuit. This card is a glitch, basically. He's going to make a lot of plays. 77 catching, and he's going to pick off a lot of passes with his play rec combined with that catching. So, yeah. If you know, in most cases, if you're watching this video, you got the game for Christmas, or you need help, you know, with what you should do on defense. If you've got the time, do the solo challenges for the style set. I mean, it's gonna take some time and some coins, but the reward is this guy, and then you get the Peyton Manning as your quarterback, the 95 Peyton Manning. I mean, if you don't even end up keeping him, that's like 100K from the linebacker. I mean, this guy goes between 70 and 100K, and Peyton Manning goes for 30 to 45K. So, that's over 100K that you would get between the two of them for doing the style challenges. That's if you don't use them, but I don't know why you wouldn't use this card, because he's amazing. So, and I've got a decent linebacker as his backup. Good zone coverage, good play recognition. I don't really have high block shed on this guy, which is pretty important for a middle linebacker. But if he's in the game, it's because Kuechly's tired, and if he's tired, it's most likely because the guy on the other side is running a lot of pass plays, and he's driving down the field. If Laurinaitis is in the game, it's most likely going to be a pass, and he's got decent pass coverage, really good pass coverage, so that's why I got him. And for the left outside, Telvin Smith, probably, if you've got a budget team, you've got to get this guy. Look at his stats: 80 speed or 90 speed, 91 tackle. Play rec's not amazing. His block shed's really good. His pursuit's really good, but his zone coverage is amazing. This guy is an all-around linebacker. He can do everything, and he's, I think, under 20K. If you're a budget team, or if you want to look for a guy who's good, but it's not going to kill you on points. Let's see how much he costs. Then you got to get that guy, Telvin Smith. Let's see. He's got a gold card too. That's pretty decent. So if you're on like a budget where you don't even have 10,000 coins, you can even pick up his gold card. I'll show you that one. Yeah, see, his gold card's 5K. Pretty decent though. Mostly what you're losing when you get this card is the extra speed and the zone coverage. But look at that, 13K. That is so cheap. And this guy is so good for that price. I mean, pretty much all the Football Outsiders are, this case. See this shit? Team of the Week edition cards are overpriced just because they're, they go into sets. But these Football Outsiders, they're so cheap. If you've got any position to fill and you don't have much coins to, go for that, say you need a, let's just do left outside linebacker. Say you need a left outside linebacker really bad. You need a good one who's not going to cost you too many points. Let's just go to Football Outsiders. Check Football Outsiders first before you make any purchases. This guy is pretty bad. Don't buy him. Look at his zone coverage, 67. But if you'd like to try this guy as a end, maybe that'll work, because he's 6'3", he's pretty fucking fat based off his picture, so he may not get pancaked as much. 92 block shed, That's really good for an end. 92 tackle, 86 play rec. He's got better zone coverage than what most ends would have. So if you're running zone blitzes, this guy can still make those. He can do all right. But look at the power move, 95 power move. He might be able to get to the backfield. You try him out. If you've got nobody pretty much in your left end slot, you can try this guy for 1,500. I would give him a shot. But other than that, we got Brandon Marshall. Very solid card. Look at that card. Very solid. If you're on a budget, you can get him. 7K. And then Telvin Smith. James Harrison. All these cards very cheap. I would say for any position, even Connor Barwin, that was 30K. For any position, if you're lacking, check out Football Outsiders first. And that's going to be my defense edition for how to build your team. Got any questions, ask them in the comments below. Let me know if you try out Aldon Smith. I think he's really good there. If you missed out on the opportunity to get Vaquero, then I feel bad because this guy is amazing for what his stats say. But other than that, leave a like if this video helped you, and I'll see you on my next video. Thanks for watching.